Okay, there we go. Incredible. Everything seems to be live. So, for anyone tuning in, this is basically going to be a repeat of the stream I did the other day, apart from the box opening, because I want to make sure that I got my video right. I made a couple of mistakes, and I want to make sure I get them correct before I put it out on YouTube. This will be fun. So, today, I want to talk to you about smart glasses, specifically the smart glasses made by Meta in collaboration with brands like Ray-Ban Today, I want to talk to you about smart glasses. One more time. We'll get there. Today, I want to talk to you about smart glasses, specifically the kind of smart glasses made by brands like Meta alongside Ray-Ban and Oakley's. Glasses like these, because they are incredibly talked about. What are we going to say? Today, I want to talk to you about smart glasses, specifically those made by Meta and its partners. We'll get there. Third, fourth time's the charm. Today, I want to talk to you about smart glasses, specifically the glasses made by Meta with partners like Ray-Ban and Oakley. These things are incredibly useful in so many different ways, but various privacy concerns have really brought them into the public consciousness in a increasingly negative. I'll get there. Okay. This is why I don't know why I'm live streaming this. I could just be recording it and flubbing in private, but we're having fun. Today, I want to talk to you about smart glasses, specifically the glasses made by the likes of Meta with Ray-Ban and Oakley. I think they're incredibly useful. I've tested so many as part of my job at Tech Radar, but increasingly there are growing privacy concerns that mean that the public are just not loving these specs. And so today I'm giving you a Technology Tuesday presentation, and I want to start with a question, which is Meta, is everything okay? Because you might have seen videos like this recently that will turn your logo into, I think, having a bit of a frowny face. And specifically, we've got this clip from Lorde at a music festival a couple of weeks ago.
It gets harder and harder to know what is real. You don't know if someone's wearing sunglasses or if they're wearing those fucked up fucking... Can I just say, for the record, fuck the glasses. Don't get the glasses, not sexy.
Now, that is not the endorsement you want to hear. Don't get the glasses, not sexy. And it joins a litany of other negative news stories that have made headlines this year involving Meta. You know, right at the start of the year, it had to lay off quite a lot of VR developers, including closing down studios behind some of the best virtual reality games. Obviously, Meta is behind the Meta Quest 3 and the Oculus Quest 2, these massively popular VR headsets that maybe weren't as popular as they had hoped, and it's meant that they've had to do layoffs. There was a report from the BBC, and there have been other similar reports where people have said that they were secretly filmed with these smart glasses and then trolled online as videos of pickup artists harassing women are shared across social media using Meta specs. There were campaigners that were very happy to see that Meta and YouTube lost a landmark social media addiction trial, which could see them pay out millions to a victim. Now, they are currently appealing this decision, but what's important to note here is normally a millions of dollars in payout isn't that big a deal to these companies who deal in billions. But this was just for one person. There are thousands more trials set to take place just in California alone, and I imagine the precedent set, assuming that Meta and YouTube don't win their appeal, could mean that they'll have to pay out significant sums to people who used their platforms, and that could be a really big problem for them. But the problems continue. Going back to the metaverse, not only did they have to shut down game studios and cancel game projects, they also basically pulled the plug on the VR metaverse. This whole thing that made Meta choose its name. It was previously called Facebook, and because of the metaverse, it wanted to have a new name, focus on this thing, and you can sort of still access it in VR and on your phone, but it's not the same as it once was. And the problems continue. You might remember that Instagram was going to allow you to use public images with AI, and people did not like that. They wanted their public images to be private and safe, not being manipulated by other people using artificial intelligence. And Meta, on its smart glasses side, started to introduce rate limits for some features, basically paywalling stuff that your glasses could previously do entirely for free. And a big deal was one of these features, which allows you to amplify the voice of someone you're talking to using noise cancellation tech. It was advertised as being entirely offline, meaning your glasses should be able to do it without connecting to a server or anything like that. So people were really confused why it needs a rate limit, because that would be like saying your phone can only take so many photos. You've got all the hardware and software on your phone or on your glasses, and it's just being taken away. People were not happy about that. Now, Meta did try and solve several of these problems. A big one for that Instagram AI image outrage was that they reversed course and said, okay, we're not going to be doing this because there was so much backlash. And also when it comes to people trying to harass others when using their glasses, Instagram is now said that it was going to be banning pickup artists and pranksters who use its specs, and several notable accounts have been banned, though some have found that videos are still remaining up online, though this has only just started happening, and hopefully these videos will be completely booted off the platform. Though the positive stories starting to fix their reputation maybe haven't been able to combat the arguably biggest negative headline we saw this year, which came out of Sweden, that was this video, this report from a couple of publications saying that Meta contractors were able to see videos recorded through the glasses and photos taken with the specs that involve people engaged in sexual activity or reading bank information or just in the bathroom. Using the bathroom. I would not want anyone to see that kind of stuff if it involved me. And they felt really uneasy about this, especially because it seems that the people using the glasses didn't realize that Meta contractors would be able to see this stuff. And it's just not good. Now, I'm someone that's used a lot of different Meta glasses. We've got the Vanguards here, these very snazzy looking running specs. You can also use them for cycling and other sports. There's me looking way too happy on a very miserable run because I needed to take that picture for a review. I'm also trying out some Houstons there with... They don't look that good on me, I'll be real, but white and gold. It's a very fun design, again, a bit more sporty. And the glasses that kind of started it all, the Ray-Ban Meta Gen 1s. And what was really interesting about this, you might just be able to make out in the background a Meta Quest 3 on a podium behind me. And what was really funny about this event was we maybe spent 5, 10, 15 minutes with the Meta Ray-Bans. They talked about them, said, here you go, you can go and wear them if you want to. They didn't really do all that much at the time. They were kind of basically not really set up to be used, just looked at. And we spent like an hour, couple of hours with the Meta Quest 3, watching a presentation, playing various demos, and basically VR's been left at the wayside while these glasses have just skyrocketed. Incredibly funny to look back on this and see how things have changed. And as I've used the glasses, I can say that they do several great things. Recently, on a trip to Tenerife on my honeymoon with my wife, we used them so much for translating voice and text. We could ask for quick advice on Spanish phrases or be able to translate the back of various things. Like my wife's conditioner exploded in our suitcase. It was in a plastic bag, so it didn't ruin too much, but it meant that she didn't have any on us, and we had to basically go out and find her some more. But she's allergic to some ingredients. Using the glasses, she could get it to translate the back of the Spanish bottle, and it could say, okay, this doesn't have any of the ingredients you're allergic to, so you can pick it up. And she actually liked the conditioner so much, we bought a few extra bottles to bring home with us. They also have awesome open ear audio, so you can listen to music and podcasts without being completely separated off from the world around you. This is great for just like a little soundtrack, while I was laying back on a sun lounger, I can just, have Radio 1 playing, enjoying my time, and still be able to talk with people if someone needs to get my attention. It's so much fun. You've also got look and ask. That's that feature that I mentioned my wife used to be able to read bottles, but I've also just used it when being a tourist in other places. I remember it was super handy when I went to Pompeii, which is an incredible ancient city, but there's actually very little information there while you're going around the city. So, I walked into a building and just say, oh, hey, Meta, look and tell me what this mural is. And it could say, oh, that's a mural to Poseidon. That means that this house probably belonged to a fisherman or a sailor, someone that would have cared about the conditions at sea and would therefore be praying and honoring a sea god. And it was super handy in so many other different scenarios as well. Obviously, you've also got stylish Oakley and Ray-Ban designs. These are some of the best looking glasses on the market from these brands. And so having them helping Meta make the glasses not just perform well, but look great is super handy. They're an accessory. They're about fashion. You don't want them to look gross and weird. You want them to look cool. And then finally, they do create some really impressive quality first person video and photos, which is great for, just recording things that you go out and do without taking you out of the moment. I've used them while I'm kayaking, while I'm at a concert, and I don't need my phone in my hand that will sort of put a barrier between me and what's going on. I can just say, hey Meta, record this, and it will start going, and I can just keep enjoying the activity, and it's incredible. But obviously, that first-person video is where things can go a little bit wrong if you are a bad actor. And because a big thing that happens is basically the glasses have two little nubs on each side. This one is the camera, and this other one, I've got a picture up on the display as well so you can see it better, is a light that's meant to shine whenever you start recording or take a photo. And if you try and cover this light, say with a piece of tape or just your finger or whatever you can find, the glasses can tell if you do that and stop the cameras being able to record. However, some modders have found that if they take the glasses apart and make some hardware changes, they can disable the light without disabling the camera. And if you can do that yourself, or you can pay someone through Facebook Marketplace or other stores to, people are advertising this for like 50 to $100, you can get your glasses to become spy glasses. And as I wrote for Tech Radar, that's kind of creepy. It's really, really not good. Now, the positive side of things is Meta has managed to fix this vulnerability by including a new software update that will now disable the camera if the glasses realize that they've been modified hardware-wise. But, there are these questions now going, are cameras even worthwhile on the glasses at all? Because this is such a big problem. Now, Meta's side of the things, you really want to have glasses with a camera because that will allow them to do something called super sense. And this is basically an idea that the AI will be on all the time. The current models have basically all the hardware they need to be able to perform Super Sense. The main problem is the battery. Now, the advantages of Super Sense could be things like if you are about to leave home without taking your keys before you lock yourself out, your glasses could say, hey, you've not picked up your keys from where you usually leave them. You need to go back and grab them. So you can grab them and then head out without being, shut out of your home. Or you could be at the store and think like, oh, do I need milk? And you can just like ask your glasses if there's any milk in your fridge. And because it's seen when you opened it last and saw, okay, you've either got a whole bottle left or, you're about to run dry, it can help you know if you need to buy more. Or perhaps you were out at coffee with one of your friends and they mentioned really wanting to get a very specific plant that they'd seen and thought, oh, that looks really cool. And it's their birthday coming up. And you're like, okay, I need to get them that plant. But later on, you can't remember what they said it was called. Was it a eucalyptus? Was it a bonsai? What was it? You can ask your glasses, you're like, oh, what plant were they talking about at coffee the other day? And it will quickly remind you and then move on with, and then you can go and get them that gift and make them happy. And I think there are some like kind of useful cases for this, but obviously you've also got an AI that's watching absolutely everything you do. That could include compromising positions, like if you're in the bathroom or getting changed and you're wearing your glasses. Don't know why you'd wear them getting changed, but if you might just, if they're prescription glasses, you might wear them to the bathroom or something. And you've also got glasses that might be with you in your work meetings, and you might have a confidential work meeting and you don't really want your specs keeping a record of that, even if, you know, getting the notes back useful could be later could be useful. And, you know, you just generally have glasses that see everything that you're looking at. And for a advertising supergiant like Meta, even if they initially say they're not going to use any of that data, obviously there's just going to be that fear that they could try and use all of that information they have of where you're looking, what things interest you, what excites you, what makes your eyes linger for a little bit longer, to try and supercharge their advertising revenue. And, you know, there are a lot of questions that people have, especially because SuperSense is currently only being talked about behind closed doors, and we get bits through leaks, but we don't fully know how it's going to turn out. And there are so many ways that it could not turn out very well for us that people are starting to get worried. Also, at the same time, while I'm focusing on Meta in this video, there are so many other different brands out there, and I've tried quite a lot of them, as you can see from this photo. The only one that's not of me, this person has way more hair than I do, are these new Gentle Monster Samsung Android XR glasses. I've not been able to give those a whirl yet, but I've given several others a try. You've got things like these AR specs from Snap. They're big and chunky, but they're so interactive and so much more fun than anything else. You've got these simpler glasses from Rokid that have just a green text display, but also still a camera. It can help you line up shots, do a bit of basic translation. You've got these X-Real glasses that just are a display. You plug them into a compatible device and you can watch something as if it's on a massive movie screen projected in front of you. I love taking them on holiday with me. I frequently use them on planes because, you know, that little screen you sometimes get on the seat in front of you just is never big enough to watch a proper movie. I don't really fully remember what this one was. I remember it being work focused, but this little weird visor that comes like a single monocle lens. It was interesting. I just think it looks weird. But the one I kind of want to focus on a little bit more are these Memo Mind glasses. They're a little bit like those Rokid glasses. They have green text, but they don't have any cameras. They come in a few different designs, and this is basically what the display looks like. And it's kind of handy having something that has some basic audio, so you can still listen to podcasts and music, but doesn't have a camera. It can maybe record what's going on around you, so you can speak to the glasses, speak to an AI assistant, but it can't see what you can see, which, you know, is a massive privacy boost, because there's just no way that the camera could see something that it shouldn't, because there's not a camera. Now, I've tried a few different glasses with this kind of display, and personally, I just don't think they're that useful right now. The big thing being that green text display is very simple, and a lot of these startup companies just don't have the polish that some big player like Meta has with its apps. You know, I've tried map services from them that just always feel way too clunky, and if I ever sort of veer off course slightly, maybe I've been distracted by a cafe and I want to quickly pop in and grab a drink, it maybe doesn't realize that I've gone off course and is still giving me the direction it wanted to give me back before I made a wrong turn. And it's got things like, okay, it can be a teleprompter, but how often do you use a teleprompter? One would be useful for me right now, but, you know, if you don't have a job that's loads of presentations, it's just not that helpful. You can make little notes for yourself, but, you know, you could just speak into your phone. The fact that they're displayed in front of you, I've never found that helpful. If anything, it's a distraction, filling up my screen, filling up my vision with just random stuff. You know, pop-up notifications from my phone being like, oh, someone's texted me. I can either get that on a smartwatch if I do want a quick access to it, or I can feel the buzz on my phone. Having the message pop up in my vision, again, is more of a distraction than it is useful. And also, I found that sometimes the audio on these things isn't super great because they're focused on being slim and lightweight rather than having a slightly chunkier design that would allow for bigger and better speakers. And also, the lack of a camera, as great as it is for privacy, is just not useful, because actually having a camera has plenty of great applications. As I mentioned before, it's super fun if you're on holiday and you want to snap a quick photo, or you want to provide a little bit of visual context to an AI to find out more about something that you're looking at. And as a result, basically, these kinds of glasses feel quite expensive. They're just as pricey, sometimes pricier than other smart glasses, but they lack some of the really best features that they can have because they lack a camera. And that's the thing that we're kind of faced with. You've got cameras that have these incredibly useful features, but are also seeing a lot of backlash. This is an advert from a company called Everybody Hates Elon. They're doing these several viral marketing campaigns at the moment targeting Meta's smart specs. Here, showing off a changed version of Kylie Jenner because she's currently helping Meta promote its new AI specs with this tagline, "We're always watching," which is feels quite sinister. And there is this kind of sinister worry aspect that I can fully understand, even as someone that uses and often does love using your specs. Because Meta right now has to be walking this tightrope, and it's important that it gets things right. Obviously, it's got to make sure it does right by its users, not infringing on their privacy, and I think at the very least making it more clear what is and isn't shared with an AI. Because when you sign up for the specs, they do say like, hey, if you use the AI to take a photo, and if use the AI and it's involved with your photos and videos, that information is shared with us, and it could be used to train the data or seen by a contractor. But the thing is, people would often think of AI being involved if you're specifically using something like Look and Ask, or you're maybe manipulating the image to add some AI elements or whatever. They wouldn't necessarily think you're using AI if you just use hands-free controls. And based on what I've seen, that seems to be where a lot of these videos that got talked about in that Swedish article earlier seem to have come from. People just saying like, hey, Meta, start a video, and not realizing that that activates the AI, and therefore that content's going to be shared with Meta. I think Meta needs to make this way more clear what is and isn't AI for the purposes of what is shared with them, and ideally would have a better split so that more content is kept private. Perhaps it could adopt Apple's private cloud compute approach, where basically you rely on an AI server to provide better assistance, but it doesn't actually go into public access information. It stays private, stays connected to just your account. And also it needs to work out how these glasses interact with other members of the public. Because while I've consented to wearing these specs and maybe accept that they're going to see more of my life and have access to my information, the people around me haven't consented to that. And that's causing, a lot of stress. That's why we're seeing adverts like "We're always watching." People being aware of this stuff. And I've definitely found that as this growing online dislike of the specs is happening, people going out and calling Meta's glasses pervert glasses, when I'm testing them, I've been testing these for review the past few weeks, I do now have this fear that I didn't have a few years ago that people might come and beat me up on the street. And that's just not something you want to have if for some tech you're using, especially glasses like these, which are prescription glasses. They cost several £100s. And if you've picked these up instead of buying some, regular prescription glasses, and then suddenly you don't feel like you can use them, some places are even banning them. There's been news about Comic-Cons and courts and various offices not allowing you to wear these glasses. Suddenly something that's not just a fun gadget, but is actually an essential piece of eyewear for you. It allows you to see the world. You're not able to use that. That's a lot of money wasted. And I think Meta really needs to not just do like good PR, it needs to actively take actions to show that it really cares about privacy, especially the privacy of people that aren't using its glasses. It's taking a massive stand against people that use the glasses to harass people on its own platforms and working with other platforms, and maybe also trying to help clean up the smart glasses space outside of what it's doing. Because while again, Meta is a super popular player in this game, my understanding is its Ray-Ban glasses are some of the most popular at in-person Ray-Ban stores across Europe. At least they were a year or so ago when that report came out. But, there are so many other players in the game, and if they're doing things wrong and Meta even is starting to do things right, that other brand is going to drag all smart glasses down with it into the gutter in terms of the public perception. And so Meta maybe needs to be working with these other brands, again, making sure that their videos aren't being shared on its platforms, that they're taking the right steps, perhaps working with lawmakers to introduce regulation that finds that fine line between allowing people to wear them but not banning them outright. because I absolutely love these glasses. Again, I don't want to sound too negative, because while there are some major issues, this is my wife and I using them on our honeymoon, and they were great. They're just smart. They're smart glasses, so we can enjoy audio and we can take photos of each other and video to record our memories. Rely on the AI for some assistance, but also they're sunglasses. They look trendy and they keep our eyes protected in the sun. They're just incredibly fun, useful tech. And I think they're probably one of the best gadgets I've tried over the past few years. But as things are going, I think they're just not going to be able to survive in the current climate. And that makes me so sad. So Meta, if you're watching this, I hope you can make some changes as someone that does love these specs, because I don't want them to just get banned and go away. I want them to succeed. But as things are going, I can see why they won't. There are some major privacy concerns that need to be addressed. So that's everything I wanted to say to you today. Thank you so much for watching my video. Let me know in the comments whether you would buy or wear smart glasses, or whether you think they should get banned outright, whether you would buy them or not. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye. That was a bit weird. Maybe I'll do a better outro. So that's all I wanted to say to you today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments whether you think smart glasses are an incredible gadget or whether they should get banned, and I will see you in the next video. That's a better one. Okay. Well, is anyone watching and got any questions? I saw Doy Winner 99. Do you play PGA Tour? No, I don't. Is that that's a golf game? Let me PGA Tour. I don't, but they the Oakley glasses do like a golfing assistant. So maybe I should try. Maybe I could get Meta's AI to make me a better golfer. Though I'd look the part. I'd look kind of snazzy, maybe. But that's kind of it, really. I don't think anyone is actually Chan, which is fine. This was just a quick, basically a redo stream because I wanted to fix up that video, and it seems to have gone a lot better that time. So yeah, I'm going to be closing off the stream. Thank you for watching, everybody. And I will see, I will say everybody, the one person that tuned in, you are great. Thank you for saying hello. And yeah. See you later. Our stream elements is in the chat. Never mind. Bye. End stream. Transition.